All right, there is one Georgia Bulldog who is climbing NFL draft boards in a big way right now, and it's Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. Georgia fans know all about him. They know how good he is. And now Mel Kiper Jr. over at ESPN, big NFL draft guy, right? He thinks Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint may go a little higher in the draft than most think. He had a lot of good things to say about Georgia's big-time playmaking, two-time national champion wide receiver. Here's what he had to say. He said, "I like guys with length and a big catch radius." Well, that's definitely Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. He made at least one major wow catch, I feel like, in almost every game. The way he can contort his body and make, just tough catches with guys draped all over him, just turning behind him to make a grab. What he did against Tennessee in Athens 2 years ago, snagging that ball under the goalpost. He did it again against Florida State. He is a big time, receiver, if I can get the word out, who can occasionally make a jaw-dropping catch, and that's because of his big catch radius. He would go on to say, guys who can go get the football, guys who you think are covered but are really not. And that's Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint out of Georgia. That's what Mel Kiper said. He's a kid that's 6'1", about 205, with long arms. Arm length is important if you want to win those contested catches in the NFL. In 2022, he went for 11.6 a catch and improved that to 16 yards a catch last season with 4 touchdowns. He has big playability and made some big catches in traffic. Mel Kiper did his research. But Georgia fans know this. He did it week after week. I'm going to talk about his numbers in a second. Actually, let's just throw them out there. As a senior in 2023, I'll go back to Mel Kiper's quotes in a minute, but last year, he was a really, reliable option for Carson Beck in the Georgia offense. He caught 34 passes, 535 yards, 4 touchdowns. Throughout his career, battled through some injuries, right? But over 4 years, he caught 74 passes for just over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. More importantly, he helped Georgia to 2 straight national titles, was a dependable blocker on the outside. He was a physical guy, a bigger possession receiver, 4-star out of Florida that Georgia, found a way to win over. They got him on campus, made an impact as a freshman until that severe injury that he had against Florida, where I think he scored a touchdown. I think he broke the plane and scored, but, that set him back. But he did get better and better the more he played. And he's a guy they could rely on against Kentucky. That catch and run for a score was really impressive. And then the back shoulder pass, 20 yards down the field, I think later in the game, he can make the tough catch at the ground, but he can go up and snag it. And he's got kind of big, strong hands, and he's got a big opportunity to impress not only in his pro day, but during the NFL Combine, when guys can get an actual live look at him, run through drills, try to get open. He's going to snag the football. And occasionally he's going to make a catch where people write in the notes, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint just had one of the catches of the day. He can bring it down with one hand. He's so dependable, and the ball didn't go his way probably not as much as it should have, if I can get that out. But when the ball did go his way, good things happen. He can catch after the run. He can make a tough catch on the sideline. I mean, this is a guy who knows what he's doing, and he's got size and ball skills and body control. I think he can play at the next level. There's no doubt about it. Is he a 3rd or 4th round pick now? I think so. I think at one point they were talking about a 5th, 6th round for him. A guy who probably gets drafted, but it's not anytime soon. I mean, there are a lot of really good receivers in this draft, so he's probably not going to be one of the top 10 chosen. Ladd McConkey should be. Ladd McConkey may end up being a top 5 wide receiver picked. I don't think he'll be one of the top 4. 5th at his peak, I think. At best, Ladd McConkey's the 5th or 6th wide receiver chosen. Maybe I'm wrong there, and he sneaks in to the 1st round and higher, but a lot of those receivers are going to go early. But Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint should get drafted, and he is a steal at the 4th round and beyond. I think if he's there for a team who needs a wide receiver in the 3rd round, he's an option, no doubt about it. But I think 4th round right now is probably more realistic, but he's going to be a steal at the 4th round. This guy can play. He would go on to say he's got big playability, made some big catches in traffic. The length, hands, and catch radius, along with the ability to make tough catches in traffic in the middle of the field, caught my eye. That's what Mel Kiper continued to say. He's really consistent, and he's a guy who's going to get better and better. In the right system, he is going to make a big impact. Chris Conley's still making a big impact. And I think that's not a terrible comparison. He doesn't run like Chris Conley, but he's a guy who I feel like gets open in the same way. He's good after the catch, not as good as Chris Conley though. But the guy can play. And now people are starting to see it. I think, is only going to increase his stock more, when college coaches and GMs can get eyes on him. So it's only up from here. I think this is possibly the beginning of the soar he could possibly see in his NFL draft stock over the next 2 or 3 months. He's really consistent. He's a guy who's going to get better. I like the improvement from 21 to 22 with an increase in yards per catch. His best football is still to come. And when you're that size with that wingspan, that's going to be critical against cornerbacks in the NFL. I like this kid a lot. So again, Mel Kiper said a lot. You can read all about this and more over on Dawg Post. I already wrote the story. It's already on the website. But as you can see, I finally got through the quotes. Mel Kiper is a big fan of Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. So he's only going to climb Mel Kiper's board. And I think others are going to jump on soon. But the casual college football fan or NFL fan, I don't think realizes what exactly he brings to the table. But he's made a lot of really impressive plays. And, when I'm in the press box covering these games, I try to take as many notes in the first half and then watch a little bit more in the second half before I write thoughts from the box, which you all should read. I'm sure you all read it. It's the story I write immediately when the game ends. I go make instant reaction, from the stands or somewhere. But, in the first half, I always feel like I'm writing down Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, big catch, or big third down catch, or tough catch, or nice play, nice block. I've always finding him in my notes when I go back and read them. So, but Tennessee knows who he is. Kentucky, I thought was really impressive. He had a couple big catches against South Carolina. I'm like, wow. Against Florida State, the pass that Gunnar Stockton, I think, threw to him in the second half, went up and just brought it down over a defender, maybe two, but he can make an NFL caliber catch. He's not a guy who's going to get to the next level and drop a lot of passes. I think he's physical enough to play. He's a willing blocker. That's only going to help. He'll be down to play special teams. And this kid loves to win. He loves to compete. He loves Georgia. This is a Florida guy who went to Athens, became an impactful player, battled through some injuries, had some highs, had some lows. He loves the University of Georgia and the football program. So if that's one thing to take away from this video, just know Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint loves the Dogs and always will. He will always rep Georgia, and again, he'll win 2 championships. So I think Georgia fans should remember him in a good way, and remember those tough catches that most people will forget about. Remember those snags, and ones that I think when more people watch and really dig into him, I think he's only going to progress and see his stock increase. But he's an NFL receiver, and if he goes to the right spot, he could be making big plays in a Super Bowl next year, like Mecole Hardman and Chris Conley and other Georgia receivers who are doing really well in the NFL right now. So George Pickens is one of the best receivers in the NFL. Chris Conley's been in the league for like 9-10 years. Mecole Hardman has 3 Super Bowl wins, and among others. So this is a guy who I think is going to make an NFL roster. He's going to be a middle of the draft pick, and I think has the ability to maybe get a second contract and make a real impact at the next level. But Mel Kiper Jr., a big fan of him, and it's been fun to cover him. I didn't cover him a lot in high school, but we knew, everyone I talked to said that he's a big kid who can make some big catches down the field. But he also showed the ability to run after the catch as well. So I do think he's going to get drafted. A.D. Mitchell's going to get drafted. Ladd McConkey's going to get drafted high. So those are 3 former Dogs who made a lot of plays who are going to be drafted probably early on. Ladd and A.D. Mitchell could be first-round picks. Marcus probably 3rd, probably 4th. And then next year with Dom Lovett, Ra Thomas, Dylan Bell, maybe Colby Young. Georgia's pumping out receivers. So this is a pitch. I can tell you right now, Kirby Smart and Brian McClendon are telling all these receiver targets in 25 class and beyond, hey, we got guys making plays on the biggest stage with 100 million people watching. Our guy, Mecole Hardman, Georgia born, Georgia Bulldog, SEC champion, Rose Bowl champion, has 3 Super Bowl rings. A lot of it's his speed, but he got better. And I think he got faster at Georgia. So he's a guy who came in as a 5-star, but was developed and went to the league, and now has made NFL history and will always be in the category of one of the biggest catches in NFL history and Super Bowl history. So big deal. Marcus Orsemy-Jack Saint, seeing his draft stock increase. You can read more about this over on Dawg Post. Sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below. Really appreciate it. Hope to see you on the website.